Circuit here, and today's video is a little bit of a fun one because I found a cool way to phrase to you just how much the music industry has really opened your eyes to the game.
This is news to me, guys. This is news to me. The music industry sucks. I thought the music industry was a wonderful place with wonderful everything. I thought everything about it was great.
That's being played on us artistic folks. So let's get into it.
I thought the music industry was a place where you make lots of money. They really respect artists, and artists get the biggest cut of all.
Since 2017, I've become a business owner, and I've had to skill up and learn about a whole lot of different things, including corporate financing and accounting and like that, friend. Through that lens of finance,
It's a pretty cool editing.
I found a new way to phrase just how up record labels are and the music industry is. The theme of this video is
That is true. The cost of creating content is almost zero. And I did not learn this on my own. I learned this from the owner of Spotify, the CEO of Spotify.
record labels are a capital arbitrage business. Real quick, if you don't know what an arbitrage is, let's say that I have access to someone who manufactures replacement lens caps. You got a camera, you got a lens, you need to put a cap on that lens. Oh, you lost your cap. Well, you got to go buy a lens cap from me. Now, the person who manufactures these, they're not going to set up a storefront for them and deal with all the other that goes with selling them. They just want to make them and then sell them in bulk, and I'm a reseller of them.
I'll make a video response for fun. All right.
Most businesses, when you boil it down, if they're not creating something unique, it's an arbitrage business. They make a premium off of an arbitrage. McDonald's is a real estate arbitrage business. McDonald's is one of the biggest real estate investors in the world, and they're also a restaurant franchise. And they make...
I feel like I'm just learning how... I tagged him on Twitter to join the stream. Oh my god. Just stirring shit up here, eh? I feel like I'm learning more about reselling than I am about the music business. But maybe he's gonna connect it in here.
most of their money from selling real estate to franchises.
Looking for the connection.
Okay, if you want to start a business, if it takes investment, you need to raise capital so you can invest into the business. Or if you're a business that's existing and you want to take on some debt so that you have some money that you can invest into whatever, making more lens caps, then you're raising capital.
All right, I'm gonna say it, bro. This guy looks a lot like a crackhead. He looks a lot like... I'm surprised I'm learning so much from this guy because he really gives off crackhead aesthetic. I don't know if it's the hoodie plus like the baldness. He's giving me crackhead aesthetics for sure. But I'm learning a lot from him also. There's nothing wrong with him. Just saying, not saying he is a crackhead. I'm saying if I were to judge him completely based off of how he looks, I'm thinking crackhead.
And what I'm stating here to you is that record labels are a capital
Crackhead with a new hoodie. Yes, that's essentially it.
arbitrage business.
Throwing rocks on a glass house, my guy. Hey, I don't look like a crackhead, all right? I look like a pothead.
They arbitrage, not lens caps.
Let's see. I'm not totally sure, but how about the idea that perhaps feeding sample music to AI is like playing music for a kid? I hate that. I hate that. I just hate that. You look like a heroin user. I do. Okay, check the no heroin, all right? Not injecting heroin, all right? Snorting heroin, all right? Smoking heroin, maybe.
But capital itself. Let's take Universal as an example. Universal has access to capital through various...
Check between the toes. I'm not showing you my feet, all right? But it's not because that I do it there.
methods. I found this article recently where Vivendi, which I believe is parent corp of UMG, announced that they'd reached an agreement...
Check the butthole. Yes, that's where we gotta check, all right? That's where he's injecting the heroin, in the butthole. He's injecting the heroin in the butthole. We found him, guys.
regarding a 5-year, €3 billion financing line with 4 leading banks. What does that mean? It means they can borrow up to €3 billion by issuing what are known as corporate bonds, which is basically like an IOU. And that corporate bond typically has a coupon.
Yes, he's really luring me back in here with the SpongeBob shit. I love SpongeBob. Play some SpongeBob clips and I'm all over your video.
coupon attached to it. A coupon is just an interest rate. The annual coupon on the money that Universal borrowed, which was $1 billion in corporate bonds, was 0.75%. So they have access to lots of capital for very low interest. Now they had just taken that
is pretty low.
1 billion euros, and then last year in 2022, they invested it by buying US Treasury bonds. They'd be making over 5% annually on those bonds. And that would be
oh shit, dude. Infinite money glitch here. Holy shit. All right.
Capital arbitrage. They'd be borrowing capital for 0.75%, and then they would be loaning it out to the US government at over 5%, and they make the difference. But that's not what they do. Record labels don't buy treasury bonds for the most part. Instead, they reap their premium through a different method. Universal Music Group's balance sheet currently shows 10 billion in liabilities. Their long-term debt is 2.27 billion as of
Yeah, I'm starting to need some engagement corner here.
2021, and their short-term debt is 318 million. This is all in euros. So if they have an outstanding nearly $3 billion in direct debt, corporate bonds, what are they doing with all that money? What are they investing it in order to make a profit? How do they utilize their capital? Funny story. Same statement that I pulled those numbers from in 2021, it showed that Universal had advanced royalty payments minus recoupments in the total of 364 million euros. This is Universal's entire business. They loan out the money they borrow to artists. So when I sign artists, they want to get them to pay back their loan with revenue, and they want the extra that they make to be far more than 0.75%. And I think you can now probably see where this is going. Let's take a hypothetical example. Universal borrows
sometimes they don't get that money back though.
$150,000.
Probably often, actually.
They don't. They borrow a lot more, but let's say, for the sake of example, they borrow the 150K. They then advance that to an artist.
It basically is a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, that is a good point. That is basically a Ponzi scheme. They're borrowing money and they're loaning out that money to artists. That's basically a Ponzi scheme. All right, there we go, guys. Case closed. Music industry is a Ponzi scheme. We've confirmed it.
As part of a record deal. In the record deal, it states that the artist will get $0 until they're able to recoup that amount of money. After which, the artist and the record label will...
For every 5 that fail, there's one artist that makes a shit ton that makes up for it. That's true. That is I'm assuming that's true. That sounds right. It's a scam how labels want their money back. The artists don't get their money in time back.
Split the profits of their music.
Do major labels borrow money anymore like UMG? I would assume they probably do. Like they do to just get more money, right? Like, I mean, I would assume they have money and they also borrow money. So they have more money to throw around.
Typically like 90-10, 80-20, it's not great. In some extreme circumstances, they might get 50-50. Let's say it's that. Let's say they get 50-50, right? The artist gets 50% of all the revenue. Oh boy. In some cases, the recoupment of that 150K doesn't come out of the record label's 50%. It only comes out of the artist's 50%. So the music that the artist makes for the label has to generate $300,000 before the artist gets anything. At which point, not only has the artist paid back the 150K they borrowed, but the record label already made an extra 150K, which is 100% profit. Now, in most cases, they also have the full rights to all of the masters, the recordings that were created to generate that money in the first place. And they don't do this with one artist, they do this with 1,000 artists in order to increase the chances of having...
Well, that's it, guys. I'm done making music. I'm going to go into the record label industry.
One or two breakout successes. So for every Justin Bieber, there's 10,000 not Justin Biebers, right? So if
boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I shit on company time. That's a bar. That's a bar for sure.
First, you might think like, well, record labels do...
Is that like an Aesop rock bar? That sounds like a bar.
All this stuff for you, don't they? They do all this No, they don't, dude. They just loan you money. Today, in order to get offered a record deal, you have to already be successful in finding a fan base. All the things that the record label would do for you.
I'll sign you, Yuko. Everyone in the chat is honorary signed. You're signed.
Market you, put you in front of the right people. They don't do any of that. You do that, and then they come along and they offer you capital that they borrow at 1% or less of what you will eventually pay for that capital. You'd be better off getting a bank loan. Recently,
you can get 2 signs, all right? You get 3 signs if you sub on Twitch. All right, 3 signs.
Friend of mine who has a band, they've done very well for themselves using digital marketing for promoting their band and selling records and merchandise and tickets. So well, in fact, that they now sort of have like an industry promoter. They're playing a lot of the same festival billings that signed acts are playing. And as a result, they start getting pitched record deals. The majority of these deals were for a $15,000 advance, right? Not a lot of money in the world of like corporate financing to the scale that, you know, UMG could afford to pitch. And that varies from genre to genre and from case to case, but getting pitched advances from multiple record labels for $15,000. And I was like, do you need $15,000 that bad? Now, if you've never run a business before, you might not know
I do.
that as a business owner, you need a payment processor so you can process credit cards. Online, that's done through like Stripe and PayPal and Brain. It's not crazy to get 15K. He told me, he said,
all right, this guy, dude. Oh, that is funny. I mean, I get what he's saying. I get his point. It's not crazy to get 15K. I mean, it's a little bit crazy to get 15K. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it's not crazy to get 15K, give me 15K right now. Can you and your wife wear the same size? Don't want to rip that dress. I think so. We're pretty close.
15K. He told me.
And she already got Weaver putting on a dress. Oh, no.
He said, well, we've done that before. We got this loan through PayPal. And I was like, what's your limit there? And he's like, we can get 15K. And I was like,
oh, okay. He's talking about loans. All right.
Okay. That became an attractive offer, right? And when you're looking.
No, YouTube subs don't count.
At a record deal, basically when you're looking at any contract, right? If they're offering you something and you don't have an alternative way to get it and it really matters, then you're not negotiating.
That would be nice in general too, though, but yeah.
You're at the whims of whatever your counterparty is wanting to do. So I say all that to say that, like, oftentimes if you're that big of an artist that a record label's sniffing around, you have an audience. And if you were to offer that audience,
if I win this league game, I'll sub. All right. If you happen to be on the opposite team, feed. All right. If you're on WX Audio's opposite team right now, if you happen to be in the chat, feed. For the love of God, feed.
Things like merchandise and music that they can actually purchase, you now have a business established that's getting cash flow in the form of actual sales coming in. And there are a myriad ways, not just payment processors, to get access to capital if you're a business that's processing orders in the form of sales. And none of those ways to get capital involve you signing away 80% of the lifetime revenue potential of your property in order to get access to some.
He's cooking. This guy's cooking for sure.
Easily like $15,000, dude. So let's say theoretically that you need to borrow $10,000 from me. Right? I refuse to loan you the 10K.
What are you really going to use 15K for producing your song or album or whatever? I mean, music video? I mean, you don't need studio time for the most part. Maybe you do if you're a band. I mean, you do if you're a band, I guess.
Instead, I loan you 10K plus whatever I deem necessary to grow your little side hustle so that you can pay me back.
Mastering? You don't, come on, bro. You really need 15K for mastering. You could cut some corners on that. At least the artist can make money doing shows while the producer gets zero money when they perform your song. Stay far away from debt and find tech capital. It's a trap. Aim people promote financing like it will solve a problem. Unless you have a guaranteed way to make back that money plus more. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. I spent $100 on Waves Platinum. Stuff adds up fast. Bro, imagine you're paying a mastering engineer and they just use Ozone in like a studio apartment. IG ads? I mean, bro, like what is are you for sure going to get a return on the IG ads? I don't know. Like, it sounds risky.
Doing that, you owe me 80% of the lifetime revenues of that side hustle. And I get the absolute worldwide trademark rights to your logo, your business logo, your name.
Ooh, this is a good meme. All right, I get your logo, your name, you get 10K and like whatever I think you need.
Product names, all that stuff is mine. And I dictate
your soul and the soul. Well, that's a good deal.
What you do with it. Do you still want the loan? Do you want the loan? It sounds crazy, right? That sounds insane. That happens.
What is this edit, dude? That was crazy.
Every day.
That was scary. That was a scary edit.
With a record label, and they say, "Sounds good." People have known this. Like, I just described it in maybe a novel way for you, but people have generally known this hustle.
I mean, I think the reason why people still sign to labels is because they think they're going to promote them. You know, they think they're going to promote them and get them to like a level where they're insanely popular. I mean, I'm sure some people are dumb and think they're making a lot of money too, and they don't understand that they're just getting loan money. But I think some people think that they're like, oh, I'm going to be famous now. You know, I'm signed to a major label. I'm famous now. They're going to make me famous now. I think that's the general motivation.
For decades, like 4 decades, it's been transparent that this is going on. And
like sometimes they may, but I don't know. I feel like nowadays, like it seems to me at least, like labels don't do that much. Generally, it seems like they generally don't do that much.
nothing has been done about it. And you're like, well, who cares if I can blow
like a lot of times they seem to try to like ride off of your success. Like, why do you think they're trying to pick people up off of TikTok? They're trying to ride off their success. Maybe they'll add a bit, but they're trying to like get somebody with some sort of wave going already.
Here's the way it works. You have a probability of blowing up, and they will give you money in proportion to this bet.
That is true. Promotion and connections. Way easier to transition to acting, fashion, etc. if you started making music on a major. That is a good point.
Gambling on you, but they're also gambling on 1,000 artists. Do they have the infrastructure to support and give the best try to 1,000 artists? No. They don't.
No, fuck no, they don't.
A crushing majority of those artists, they're just giving them the advance. They're getting the legal right to everything that they ever do. And they're saying, like, go do something. So hopefully in the future, when you're thinking about maybe signing up with a record label,
they're like, yeah, just fuck off. Do whatever. Do whatever. Fuck off. You got your 15K. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You owe us, by the way.
Well, you don't. Stop signing these deals, man. For the love of God.
I will sign them if I want to, all right?
They don't care about you. Every single one of them will tell you one thing and send you a contract that legally states the opposite of the thing they just told you in the meeting. And then they'll give you a lawyer, or they'll know a lawyer, or your lawyer will have a reason to play nice with them. And
Bro, it's super funny. Like, I remember in the Krayshawn video, she was talking about how they set her up with a lawyer, and that lawyer ended up not paying her taxes, which is that's ridiculous. Like, they're like, oh, here's a lawyer we know. Lawyer ended up fucking just not paying her taxes at all, not doing the shit at all.
Multiple of my friends, multiple times from multiple corners of the industry. I look over their contracts and I ask, did your lawyer?
Bro, they have this guy looking over their contracts. Is this guy just like, is he fucking with us right now by looking like a crackhead? Like, is this guy just like secretly like an entertainment lawyer or something?
Lawyer talk to you about what this says? And they say no. My lawyer said, looks great. Good job.
He looks like what? The Prof, the rapper? Kinda, I guess so.
Dude, stay independent. This is general advice too. Like, our business is
I'm really interested in this guy now. Why does he look a little bit like a crackhead?
Independent. Our capital does not come from investors or VCs. Stay indie. That's my message for today. See you guys next week.
You reckon like entertainment lawyers and crackheads are different? Yeah, that's a good point. Prof is a creep. Why is Prof a creep?